Hey, everybody. Listen, welcome into the building. Happy Saturday to all of y'all. I hope you had a good Saturday because I did, okay? So welcome into the building. Tonight's title for Trending Topics is very simple. It says justice with a question mark. Justice. As you come through and come in the building, don't forget, hit the like button. It's very simple. It's called justice. Now, Terrence Howard, like many others, said Diddy tested him. But he said no to the test. So, unlike many others where Diddy just simply, see, you know what? I'm saying this respectfully. Some people know who they can't play with. You know, the typical person, or most people say, when Diddy approached them or violated them, first he gave them a drink with a little sun in it. Then they got woozy. Then he took advantage of them. But he didn't do that to Terrence Howard. He just kept calling him over to see if he was with the shenanigans. And at first, Terrence Howard didn't know what was going on. But when he figured it out, he was like, no, I'm good. And he never went back again. That's his story. We're going to talk about it. And I'm having the conversation in this trending topics to say to everybody out there, you have the right to say no, and you don't have to explain why you saying no. If there's something you don't want to do, you could just say no and keep it moving. If the person's pressuring you, they want to know why, they telling you, oh, it's not going to be that bad. I said no. I told you I just happen to not be a drinker. I don't drink. Not casually, not nothing. I just don't drink. It's just not me. I don't drink. And I had to tell some people no over and over and over and over again. Not even a sip of wine, not this. No, I don't drink. You have to be 10 toes down on whatever your beliefs are, your morals are, but you have to be clear with yourself and you got to trust yourself. A lot of times we get into some shenanigans because we don't even trust ourselves. Your instinct is telling you don't go and you go anyway. And the more you go against your own instinct, the less and less you begin to trust yourself and your own thought process. Learn how to say no and mean it. And walk away no matter what the consequences may or may not be. Your no is your no. So we're going to talk about it. Did you know it happens to women a lot? Happens to us ladies. You walking down the street, you minding your business. You know, back in my day, they used to call it a cat call. This man whistling at you, saying, hey, baby, trying to approach you, trying to get your phone number. They ask you, do you have social media now? Can I follow you on Instagram? What, TikTok, Twitter? And when you don't want this behavior, some of them, when you ask them to stop, they don't know how to stop. Well, there's one young lady in New York, she filmed him, put him on blast. See, you know what? These aren't all that bad. They're not. In some cases, it may save your life. Somebody messing with you, you got 911 in your hands. You could film them. You could take a picture of them. They may save your life sometimes. So it's not all bad, this instantaneous handheld helpline / phone. I told you, if you're a single person, someone in your family should be able to follow your tracks. I forgot. Somebody told me what it was on here. Family 360 or something like that. So every second of the day, somebody in your family, they know your business. They know where you at. They know you at the shop right. They know you down the block. They know you at the street, whatever. Life 360. Come on, Savannah. Thank you. Life 360. You should have that. Many family members was able to at least find the area where their family member last was because of that Life 360. Especially if you're single and you're dating, you let somebody know. I'm going out with this person. They look like XYZ. They're driving this if they're picking you up. And you let them track you. Text them when you get to the restaurant. Say, I'm safe. I'm good. Text them when you're leaving. Oh, neither do I, Benjamin. I don't like homophobia jokes. Everyone rolls differently. However, that being said, nobody has a right to encroach upon another person. One must respect boundaries. Diddy obviously has sex addiction. Benjamin, I agree. And I feel the same way. I feel the same way. And yes, okay, thank you, everybody. Life 360. I will say, oh yeah, and have a code word. Yes, Wayne. We're going to talk about it. You know what? And you can have a sex addiction, and I ain't in nobody business, but watch those sites on TV or on your phone or something. And I don't care if he had 3 ways, 4 ways, 5 ways, as long as everybody consented. But if you violating people and you forcing people, that's a whole nother ball game. It's a whole different level. But we're going to talk about the pervert that was caught on camera because the girl had enough. Then I'm bringing in this particular story, and I'm somewhere in the middle right now. And as we have the discussion, y'all might help me sway to one side. This is a family. Son was a football player. Son had an underlying condition. Bucknell University. He only went to 1 day of football practice. In the strenuous exercise, he lost his life. And so the family is suing now. They're saying that he was hazed because they said he had to do an extra workout because one of the freshmen didn't get something right or something like that. But he did have an underlying condition that was known. I don't know how to quite feel about this, and that's why we're going to have the discussion. Usually I'm definitely, when I come in with my stories, I'm on one side of the fence or another. But this one, I'm somewhere in the middle. I understand what the family was saying, but I also understand if I know my child has a known condition, I would probably 99.9% of the time, but that's me though, right? I would say, well, you ain't playing sports. And I do understand that people have to live their lives. I get that. But we're going to talk about this story. Y'all going to let me know your thoughts. The family's suing. The family, I get it. It's devastating as a parent when you have to bury a child. They said they can't even bear to go to his room. They can't even figure it like how not hearing their voice. I don't even know what I would do. I'd be lying to you if I told you I would handle it this way versus that way. I don't know. There are some things that definitely you don't know what you're going to do or how you're going to handle it until you are in it. And it's heart-wrenching. And I'm not doing this particular story today, or I don't even know if I'm going to do it, but there was she was an influencer. I never followed her. I didn't know about the person until I read the story. An influencer. She was a nurse, having a child with a husband. She died in childbirth, of childbirth complications. And I said, giving birth, to all the men out there, call your ladies. If you have children, just call the mothers and say thank you. I don't even care if you ain't still with the mother. Tell them thank you. Childbirth is no joke. And each and every time you go to have a child, you're taking a chance, no matter how old or young you are. So all the men out there, tell your moms you love them. For all the men out there that have children with somebody, tell that person thank you. Because you carry that baby 9 months if you carry it to term. If you have it early, you have it early. But it's a lot. Now listen, guys, I done talked enough. Y'all know what I need in the chat. I need a what? I need a choo-choo. Hold aboard, everybody. It's Saturday night trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. It's justice with a question mark there. Terrence Howard saying Diddy tried them. A pervert caught on camera. And a football player gone. And to my mods out there, thank you, Savannah. Thank you, Carbar. I appreciate you. Let's bring the people on in the building, have a Saturday night discussion. Hey, Wayne.
Hey, Diva.
Hey, Savannah.
Hey, Diva.
Listen, guys, you know what? We're going to start with this Terrence Howard story. I think, you know, we got probably a little bit under 30 days. And, you know, Diddy trial is going to start. I think this thing is going to be polarizing. I think it's going to be shocking. I think every day as we hear them come out of the courtroom and talk about this case, it's going to be like, oh my God, whoa. I said before, I can't quite call how the Diddy trial is going to go, only because there's cases where I thought these people were going to spend a whole bunch of time in jail and they walking free. And then there's other cases where I'm thinking it's not that bad and it seems like they're going to get the book thrown at them. So when it comes to the law, I don't really know how it's going to go. But I think for sure I can say, I don't know who Diddy violated, didn't violate, who agreed to do things with him versus disagreed and was forced. I don't know. But the conclusion I think I came to about Diddy is I can probably think definitely this man had a high-level sex addiction. For sure. Always need to be stimulated through sex or through, I guess I'll say allegedly, drugs. And when you mix those two together, it's just a bad combination. We see now this Russell Brand. He's claimed, you know, he stated that in his earlier years, he was a bad boy. He called it, you know, pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, a bad boy. And he said he was addicted to drugs and sex. And so now you have people coming out accusing him of, you know, violating them. But he said one thing he was a sex addict and a drug addict, but he said he never took advantage of anyone against their will. He said everything he did was consensual. So not just with Diddy, but with others, we see that mixing drugs, sex, alcohol is just never a good thing. So Terrence Howard said, you know, Diddy tried him, but he said no. Let me share a screen so we can get into this story. I got so much on this screen. Let me see. Okay, here it is. So Terrence Howard, Diddy tried to F me, but I kept my man card. Now, you know, Terrence Howard, let's not get too caught up in his words, because, you know what, he's another one. I call Terrence Howard is a special kind of different, if you ask me. I don't like necessarily the words that he said with this. You know, a lot of times some people want to suggest is just if you're not heterosexual, you're not a man or you're not a woman. And I don't agree with that, but I'm going with the context of what he's saying. My screen is spinning for a minute, so I will get to the video when I can. But Terrence Howard just gave a glimpse into what he said was the dark side of Hollywood. And an example he used from his personal experience was none other than Diddy. The film and TV actor was a recent guest on Patrick Bet-Davis' PBD podcast, where he claimed he was targeted by Diddy for sex under the guise of coaching. Terrence Howard doesn't say exactly when this alleged attempt by Diddy occurred. Let me just let in my opinion when this attempt occurred, but claims he was invited to Diddy's place. Okay, wait, it's coming up. Let's go back to it. I'm sorry, guys.
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there, and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music, and he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back.
All right, so let me come down. But claims he was invited to Diddy's place when the music mogul asked Terrence for acting lessons. Terrence claims Diddy had no material to work on and just stared at me a while before asking Terrence to play some music. Again, just to stare at him. Nothing was accomplished. When Diddy invited him to come back another time, Terrence Howard said he realized Diddy only wanted to have sex with him. To be clear, he didn't accuse Diddy of any wrongdoing. Terrence said a lot of people gave up their man card to make it in Hollywood and become successful, but he refused to do so at any point. Nonetheless, to say Patrick was taken aback by the story since he did not even mention Diddy, but he did act about the darker side of the business. Hold on one second. Wayne, what are your thoughts?
Excuse me. When your spirit or your inner person or whatever senses something ain't right, go with that. Because if somebody's trying to come on you or whatever, whether it be that or whether somebody's talking about, getting some extra money or whatever, if this is how your character, just like he said, he just broke communication. He didn't talk no more. But when you want to I can handle him. And that's how people get in trouble. They think they can handle it as far as not handle any acts. What I'm saying, he ain't nothing. I can handle that. But he just, stepped out of it. But the other thing, stop the communication. But the other thing is why are you bringing this up now? I mean, are you going to sue Diddy? Are you jumping on the bandwagon? I don't get why are you bringing this out? I mean, I don't understand it. Personally, that if nothing happened and I'm like, shoot, I'm done with him. I'm over. Boom. No communication. I ain't got to deal with you.
Right.
So I don't know if it's for to bring some attention. Terrence Howard, he ain't doing much nowadays, I know of. But I don't know. I mean, I just want to know. I'm not saying he's wrong. I just want to know what's the incentive to bring it up now? Because it's your word against his. You ain't got no proof. He gonna say, no, I didn't say that. He lying.
Mm-hmm.
And Terrence gonna say, well, he did say that. He lied. So just going back and forth. So, but anyway, all I gotta say, when you feel something wrong going on, boom, get out of Dodge and just don't have no interaction or communication with that person. It's no reason to have any communication with that person. And like I say, that's what you gotta do. Just cut the communication. That's done.
Yeah, thank you, Wayne. Savannah, your thoughts?
I'm kind of with Wayne on this story. To me, this is a non-story. So Diddy didn't hit on you, didn't insinuate, didn't show you any adult films, didn't try to feed you any liquor or the substances that they were carrying around. This is a feeling that the assistant had. I don't understand why now, because I've always thought that Terrence Howard struggled with his own vices and demons, and he's also has some fetishes that are questionable as well. I believe, wasn't he in trouble with the law for some issues besides his taxes? I don't I don't understand why this is even a story, because there was nothing. Where did you come from? There's no one had it. Yes, Terrence hung out at some of the parties, but I'm also prone to believe he was at some of the after parties as well, the freak offs. So I don't think this is a story. And why are you trying to come out now? Um, I just side eyed him because he's not without clean hands either. So wrong messenger.
Wrong messenger. Thank you. Katrina, your thoughts?
Hello, Diva. Hello, panel. Hello, chat. I'm with Savannah and Wayne. I mean, like, these are the same stories we hearing over and over and over again. Y'all knew this stuff happened before, but since Diddy got locked up, everybody want to have something to say when they already knew that this stuff has been said before. So why are we supposed to be surprised or shocked? I mean, you coming out with this now when everybody has already came and said their part of the story. We don't need any more stories. You had this story, you kept it this long, you could keep on keeping it, because it really, really is not going to make any difference with this court case or anything else, or how people are already seeing Diddy. So, as I would say, let sleeping dogs lie, because his opinion and his story is not going to change anything about what's going on with Diva right now anyway. I mean, with Diddy right now anyway. That's all I got, Diva. And I'm a little loud, y'all, because I'm at this game room, my granddaughter's birthday, so I'm gonna be in and out. So
Okay,
just forgive the noise.
Katrina.
You're
Um,
welcome.
in my opinion, your thoughts?
So I looked at it a little differently. So the whole interview, he was asked the question about what did he think about the dark side of the entertainment industry,
Mm,
and he was putting an insight on what he had experienced on the dark side of the entertainment industry.
okay.
And I think so many times we quick to judge somebody for saying something. I think sometimes we have to really listen to what, because let's be clear, the shade room, TMZ, all them are only gonna put out the part that makes somebody look bad. But if you go back and look at the interview, he didn't accuse him of nothing. He said him and his assistant had this feeling and he won with it. And I'm glad he won with it. And he spoke up. Because a lot of these people that's in this case right now, they claim they won with it, but they didn't say no.
But you better talk. Come on, talk to the people. In my opinion.
So here's the thing. He's just telling you, yes, this stuff happens in this industry, but I'm a real man and I ain't finna fall for nothing. So when this man came at me and he said, can we rehearse some lines? I get there. He ain't got nothing for me to rehearse. He looking at me funny. Somebody some, let's turn on some music. Oh no, I ain't with this. I said no. He called me back. I said I ain't gonna be able to do it, partner. I respect that. He didn't come out here and put no extra sauce on it. He didn't say, oh, he tried to drug me up. None of that. He just told it how it was. He was asked the question. The man said he didn't even realize he was going to say that, because all he asked him was, what is the dark side that you've seen of this industry? Hollywood makes this a known thing that evidently this is what's happening. So if y'all want to be in this industry, just know somebody going to try you.
Mm. Well, thank you for more information on that. Much appreciated. Like I tried to say in the opening, you have the right to say no. And if you want to say no, just say no. And you don't got to give any explanation behind your no. No is no, and you can keep it pushing. Okay. Let me see. Hi, Diva. Increase. Terrence Howard has nothing to worry about. An inch is a pinch. Have you seen the movie he did with 50 Cent in the prison? No, I did not. Hi, yay. I did not. Thank you. All right. Okay. Caught on camera. Unfortunately, a lot of times, ladies get a cat called, so to speak, or men try to talk to them, and when the woman says no, please leave me alone, they don't know how to let it go and leave them alone. So this woman in New York, someone did that to her, and she recorded him. And when she posted it, several people recognized him, and some people even, called out and pretty much said, "Listen, this is who this perv is." So perv exposes himself to a woman in New York City subway station, and 129 people, 28 people recognized him in an online poll. So let's just take a quick look.
I'm going home. Where you gonna go? Nasty ass. You're disgusting. You're disgusting. You're disgusting. You're nasty. You're disgusting. You're disgusting and you're nasty. You fucking bum. You fucking bum. Nasty ass. Stupid ass. Bum ass bitch. Yeah, you dirty ass.
Ugh. Hold on one second. I just want to pause this. Make sure I pause it. A woman turned the tables on a perp who exposed himself and tormented her at a Harlem subway station by filming him and putting him on blast online. "You're disgusting. You're nasty," Julia Scott said as she filmed the creep, who was thrusting his hip and making sexual motions with his mouth. Let me just pause that. With his mouth and fingers at her from across the 125th Street 3 station in late February. "Like this too. Look," the perv said in a video posted on TikTok, taunting Scott as he made kissing faces and motioned towards his mouth. "He followed me around for a minute before this and kept showing me his parts," she wrote in the video, which was shared by account only in New York in late February and got nearly 200,000 views on the TikTok and Instagram. The harassment continued despite kids and police officers being present in the subway station, she added. Scott, a research consultant and an influencer originally from Sierra Leone, urged people to call the police if they see the man. "Another day in Harlem," a disgusted Scott told the Post. Over 900 people responded to a poll by the Instagram account asking if they recognize the man. 14%, or 128, said they have seen him before. That's a picture of her. That's another picture of her. Women chimed in that they had unsettling encounters with the same man too. "I hate this city sometimes," one woman wrote on Scott's TikTok post. "Tired of these type of men. This is the norm," said another. "This is what we deal with on the daily," someone else agreed. Other social media users warned that Scott should have ignored and avoided the man instead of engaging with him. The NYPD did not immediately respond to an inquiry from the Post. Public lewdness, intentionally exposing private or intimate parts, or committing any other lewd act that can be seen by someone in a public place is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 3 months in jail, probation, and a fine of up to $500 according to the state law. Oh, disgusting. And I'm surprised the cops didn't say anything. That was shocking to me. Wayne, your thoughts?
That's shocking too. However, she could have did that video without, kind of taunting, call him, you nasty, you this, you that, I think she's great doing the video, but I wouldn't engage in like saying this and saying that and all that stuff and just put the video out. And you see now, they ain't do nothing. So, I don't know how you don't get some kind of a charge or something like that, and they just let it go on. But I mean, the video, great, but all the talking and stuff, it was unnecessary.
Yeah. Savannah, your thoughts?
Kudos to her for filming it and for him being identified by the public. I think this has to be a more constant, frequent thing that women should do, because in places like New York, it isn't safe. And something as being and catcalled, and I'm not sure if he exposed himself. um that can be seen as aggressive, and besides it being disgusting, women aren't out there. Women, like, I'm pretty sure, because I've had this many times as well. You feel like a piece of meat, and you feel like you're viewed as less than, and you're not. And this man is just, it's a form of intimidation and power, and it's just, you're not out there for the viewing pleasure, or for men to picture you in any type of axial way. And it's just unnerving. So I can understand her speaking back to him, especially if he exposed himself. I'm surprised that there was law enforcement around and no one did anything, or even came to her defense and said, "Yo, my man, that's a female. What are you doing?" um it's just another form of violence to me, and I don't understand. Here we are in 2025, and men still don't get that women are not um to be viewed as any type of actual pleasure for them, and that's somebody's daughter. I just don't get why men are still have these barbaric mentalities where this and I they didn't say the age of the young lady. I'm assuming, but imagine if that was an underage child. It is just unnerving. I as a mother and grandmother to female, I worry about them going out there, and I just, even from how they dress, and where they go to and who they interact with, you just never know. A female's not safe, especially in places like New York.
Yeah, it's sad. And he did expose himself, according to her. He did expose himself and said, she said before she started filming, he was already like following her and cops was around. I'm just like, I don't know. But see, my thing is, did she say something to the cops? I don't know. It's just crazy. Katrina, your thoughts?
My thoughts, he's been doing this for a while. That's probably why people don't even pay no attention to him. That's not his first time flashing. I guarantee you, he's probably the New York flasher. That's right, and that's why he hasn't been picked up or got for lewd acts or whatsoever, because he's been out there doing this forever. Katrina for president. They've been out there doing this forever. So I honestly think that my kids are playing with me right now. He's been doing this for a while. He's been doing it for a while, and like Savannah and Wayne said, women are more than a piece of meat. But my thing is, he's probably been arrested. They let him out. He probably been arrested again. Like I said, he's probably been doing this for a while, Diva. But that's all I got.
Thank you. In my opinion, your thoughts?
So my thoughts is too many people don't raise their kids to know that a woman is to be respected. I think this is part of home training that gets left behind or not taught. It never feels good for a woman to be attacked or antagonized by somebody who think that this is flattering for you to come behind somebody and say stuff like this or to show yourself. It doesn't make a woman feel good about you. It only makes us feel disgusted. And while this man followed her for a while, I think I wouldn't have said nothing because I would have been scared that I'm antagonizing him to attack me. Um, I feel like when she saw these police officers, she probably should have ran to them. Because we don't know what people are capable of anymore. And with its crimes being on the rise, you know what I'm saying? He could have snatched her up at any point because he was following her. And she had the camera rolling, but if he's a man, she's a woman. I just would have been scared to antagonize a man that may be stronger than you and can handle you roughly.
Whew, thanks. In my opinion, we're going to go ahead and roll into the last story. And the last story is You know, it's a football player, the parents, he lost his life. Very sad. They're suing. Let me just go ahead and share screen so we can get into it.
Football player filing a lawsuit after their son collapsed and died following his first day of practice. They're accusing athletic staff at Bucknell University of taking part in an alleged hazing ritual that turned deadly. ABC's Ike Ajachi has more on what the players' parents are now saying. Ike, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. It was 18-year-old Calvin Dickey's first and last football practice with Bucknell University, collapsing in the weight room and dying 2 days later in a hospital. A tragedy the parents say should have never happened. This morning, the parents of a Bucknell University football player are speaking out about losing their son CJ after he collapsed during a workout on his first day with the team.
We can't go into his room. Even just to look at the door is bothersome. And just not having him here, not to hear his voice.
They filed a lawsuit against the university, school officials, and members of the athletic staff, alleging the 18-year-old offensive lineman was forced to perform up-downs, also called burpees, because some of the freshmen had messed up on some drills, according to the filing. Dickey was rushed to the hospital where doctors treated him for rhabdomyolysis, a condition caused by extreme exertion that leads to muscle breakdown and in severe cases could cause kidney failure and abnormal heart rhythms.
They were trying to resuscitate him and they came to us and said, we've been trying, and we made the decision as parents to stop because CJ wasn't coming back.
CJ's case was complicated by sickle cell trait, an inherited condition that put him and others at a 50% higher risk for rhabdo. He was diagnosed through athletic testing just a few weeks before arriving at Bucknell. Since 2010, the NCAA has mandated screening for sickle cell trait for all student athletes, the result of a lawsuit over the post-practice death of a Rice University football player.
People with sickle cell trait who are engaging in athletic activity, it doesn't mean they will all 100% get rhabdo, but they are at an increased risk.
According to the lawsuit, the Dickeys say the university hasn't given them a clear answer to what happened the day their son collapsed, but they believe he was subjected to the extreme workout as an annual rite of passage for the freshman athletes. They say amounts to hazing.
This feels like someone pressured and pushed and drove these kids way beyond what they should have been driven.
I do think our kid was hazed, and I think this was something that was completely avoidable.
In a statement, Bucknell University says they won't comment on pending litigation, but they extend heartfelt sympathies to CJ's family, and we will continue to focus on our most important priority, the health and safety of all Bucknell students. The NCAA provides guidance for coaches to manage training athletes who are positive, including simple precautions that may prevent collapse. Calvin and Nicole Dickey say they hope sharing what happened to their son will prevent it from happening to more athletes, leading to change. Guys.
Just amazing what those parents are able to do, like speaking out for their child and hopefully to prevent that with someone else. Yeah. All right. Ike, thank you.
Oh, so sad. Hold on one second. So the parents of football player who died after alleged punishment exercises sues Bucknell University. They say it was 100% preventable. He died a horrible, painful death that was 100% preventable, the family's attorney, Mike, said of Calvin C.J. Dickey Jr. The family of the Bucknell University student is suing Pennsylvania school after their son's death at the age of 18. In documents filed in Philadelphia Common Pleas Court on Wednesday, April 7, Calvin Dickey Sr. and Nicole Dickey claimed that the university knew about their son Calvin C.J. Dickey Jr.'s sickle cell trait diagnosis, which makes him more susceptible to getting a rare muscle condition and could have prevented his death, which occurred following the first football practice, according to ESPN. Bucknell University is accused of negligence and wrongful death alongside other claims the outlet reported. He died a horrible, painful death that was 100% preventable, the family's attorney, Mike, said of CJ in a press conference that was shared. The attorneys did not immediately respond to people's request for a comment on Saturday, April 5th. Bucknell University told people in a statement that the death of a student is always a tragic loss. That's him in his dorm. Bucknell University is aware of the lawsuit filed by the parents of CJ Dickey. The university continued. While the university will not comment on pending litigation, we again extend our heartfelt sympathies to CJ's family, and we will continue to focus on our most important priority, the health and safety of all Bucknell students. The lawyer said in an April 2nd press conference that CJ died of rhabdomyolysis, which is a condition in which your muscles are overworked, that they start to secrete toxins that kill off your organs. And further explained, the National Collegiate Athletic Association, NCAA, began mandating in 2010 that athletes begin testing for sickle cell trait, as they were more susceptible to getting the condition. CJ had tested positive for sickle cell trait ahead of joining the university's football team, which made him 200 times more likely to get the condition. If an athlete has a sickle cell trait, they are not to be worked out on their first day of practice. They are not to do sprints. They are not to do up downs. They are to be eased into their practice regimen. Otherwise, they can get that condition. The attorney added in a press conference and said in the lawsuit that CJ showed up for his first day of practice at Bucknell University on July 10, 2024. While there, he and other freshmen were made to do 100 up downs or burpees as punishment after they messed up at a workout, per ESPN. The lawyer said CJ was falling behind the rest of the group and could not keep up with the exercises. He added that students present at the workout and employees at the team center gym where the workout was taking place witnessed him in distress. CJ then passed out and hit the floor, and he was taken to the hospital, the lawyer said in a press conference. Once at the hospital, he was put on dialysis, and emergency surgery was done to help relieve pressure from building in his extremities, according to ESPN. However, CJ's heart stopped, and doctors were unable to resuscitate him for 20 minutes. He died 2 days after the practice. The lawsuit alleged that the team center did not have an emergency action plan to respond to medical emergencies like the one CJ experienced, per ESPN. We do this for CJ, for every young man on that team and anyone who comes after him, and anyone at any university, Mom Nicole said, per ESPN. This is a longer, harder path, and I'm ready for it. My boy is worth it. We don't want another athlete, another family, brother, cousin to go through this type of agony and pain and death, especially when it's not necessary or completely avoidable, Dad Calvin added. Wayne, your thoughts?
You know, I don't say this being cold. I'm very sympathetic to this individual, to this young man. My condolences to the parents. And like the mom said, this should have never happened. She right, it should have never happened. He should have never been playing football. You gonna tell me football, one of the most contact sports, running up and down the field, it could have happened during a game. It could have happened. It's strenuous.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it wasn't hazing. I don't know. All I know is that if you have a condition like that, anything close to that, you shouldn't be anywhere near the field. You may want to be, you may want to play, but the parents need to step in and say, son, you have a condition. It could cost you your life. I had a friend's son who was 10 years old, and I think I'm sure they knew he had a little heart condition. And they was at practice, I think before a game or something, not practice, but I don't know what it was. It was before the game or whatever. And they do a lap around the thing. He was 10 years old. He went around the track, and dropped.
Oh my God.
Dropped on the thing. I I didn't hear of anything after that. You know, she never mentioned that they filed a lawsuit or whatever, you know, but that was very sad. You know, I don't know if they knew his condition was that bad or what. I don't even know if they know, but it's obviously from what the parents said, they knew he had a condition. Why would you be in a sport that could cause your heart rate to race? They said whatever he had something to do with the muscles and all that stuff. This young man should not have been playing football. And it cost him his life. And it's so sad. I don't know if the parents pushed him, you know. I don't know what you're looking for. It sounds like it's something he wanted to do. But I would never have my child out there. Know if they have some kind of condition that could cost him life if things go sideways. And it went sideways. I feel sorry for him. You know, regardless of how it happened, I feel sorry for him. I know they're hurting. But for future parents, you know, in these sports, then you need to have your kids cleared. You need to let the doctor say if your child can get in these sports. And if the doctor says no, and you still put them in there, you're risking their lives. So it's very sad that, you know, he went out there and lost his life. But I just think the way the game of football, well, somebody hit him real hard. The other team don't know he got a condition. They want to win the game. And if it means tackling you like they do in football, they're going to do it. They don't know that you have a condition. So it's sad, but I think he should have never been in any football. I'm done.
Yeah. Savannah, your thoughts?
First of all, what a beautiful family. And it was clear that these parents absolutely loved their son. But I'm on the car with Wayne tonight. I believe that this young man should have never been playing any type of sport with that condition, especially football. Next to military boot camp, football is one of the most strenuous workout exercises that there is in any game, in any sport. And I don't believe this is hazing. I don't think I've seen, you know, freshmen mess up. Yes, you are going to do 100 push-ups or jumping jacks or I can't stand burpees. Oh my goodness, I can't stand burpees. But I just think that the parents are wrong here with suing or classifying it as hazing. Now, if they sue to have better conditions in the gym area or their workout area to have medical equipment on hand, whether it's an EKG or something, that's different. But to classify this as a hazing and sue the school for hazing, I don't think that they have a good case here in you know, with a diagnosis such as the sickle cell trait, I believe is what he said, that, you know, their oxygen levels go low, correct, Eva? If and his organs start heating up. So I just, and Wayne, I don't know, but I remember Damar Hamlin of Buffalo Bills when he collapsed on the field a couple years ago, and he had to be revived because he actually did pass away. And he also had I believe he also had this diagnosis. So, you know, it's a dangerous sport to be in if you have been diagnosed with the sickle cell trait. So, my condolences to the family, but I don't think this was a hazing incident. I just think the young man should have not have been playing any type of sport, especially a hard contact sport such as football, where your workout is intense. It's almost as close to a military boot camp. It's unfortunate, but I don't think they're suing for the right thing.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Savannah. In my opinion, your thoughts?
So sickle cell trait is something that is bad when it's aggravated. Okay, it doesn't mean you can't play sports because my children have sickle cell trait. They got it from their daddy. I don't have sickle cell trait. That's the reason why they don't have sickle cell anemia. But I will say this, okay? It doesn't stop you from playing sports. You do have to get medical releases to play sports. So that is always in place. It tells you what kind of condition you are in and everything. But there are things in place to cover you from this stuff being happening. That's the reason why on the first day he was not supposed to be doing any strenuous exercise. That was why they was not supposed to do what they did. But they went against the rules. The rules are there for a reason to be followed. When we stop following rules, this is what happens. Now I'm going to say this about universities because I've had 3 kids to go through with scholarships in athletic fields somewhat, and every last one of them have gotten hurt their first year. These people feel like because they give you a scholarship, they have a right to run these kids through the mud their very first year. My second son plays the trombone at Alabama State. His first week, he was in the hospital twice because they had him running up and down the stairs with bleachers with an instrument 50 times at 5 o'clock in the morning and again at 6 o'clock at night. It is crazy, and they need to stop it. These kids are not in the pros. They're in college. They have a course load, and they still have to go to practice, and they still have to put up with this stuff. This is when somebody needs to go in place and find out what is going on at these universities, that these kids got to work this hard to be in some athlete. I am tired of seeing our kids dropping and having to go through this all the time because of a doggone sport. They're not getting paid for that. You giving them some scholarship money, and let's be clear, that scholarship money don't pay for everything. So yes, this is very dear to my soul because I am so glad that my son finally got out of the band and was like through with it. He was like, we fine. I paid for their school. That's fine. I'll pay for it. But what I won't do is I won't sacrifice my child for no doggone scholarship. But 2 times in 1 week, and he was just there for a week. That's a lot. And he wasn't playing football. He was in the band. So I can only imagine what these football players was going through.
Thank you. In my opinion, Felicia, your thoughts?
Well, good evening, everybody. Happy Saturday night.
Happy Saturday.
Oh, all these people ain't got no date. They ain't got no place to go. All they up there is watching the gray-haired diva. Well, we got to come up with a better plan so we can be doing a little bit more on Saturdays. But listen, I came in on this story. I appreciate everyone sharing. I, too, gave birth to a 12-time varsity athlete. And I'm telling you straight up and straight away, your child does not play sports without having cleared a medical and you having to sign a waiver. Parents are here talking. I understand their grief and their loss. They co-sign. Your child doesn't just go on the field to play football, to play tennis, to play soccer, to be on the dance team, to be a cheerleader without parental approval. Okay? So, first stop is the doctor. So, if the doctor cleared him to play and says, well, you understand, it's, I don't know, July in Pennsylvania. One of my scholars was trying out down there at Temple. We went down there in July. It was plenty hot. And he was out there doing a 11 on 11, 7 on 7 for soccer. And we were browning out and dehydrated. But we were there. And we understood we had to keep him hydrated. So his first day, where was his mother and father? Or am I the stupid one here? We know our child has an underlying condition He shouldn't be out there the first day doing anything rigorous. It should be maybe walking, doing some light lifts, building up some kind of stamina. No, he's out here doing all of this, and they didn't even have the equipment present to help save his life. No. Yes, I believe this school is going to be held accountable because they didn't have the life-saving materials. They didn't follow through with the coach, meaning the coach and the staff. They said that they saw other people witnessing him struggling, and they didn't sit him down. Continued on. I happen to agree with Savannah. This isn't necessarily hazing. Track athletes have to go through it. Artists, band members, like Opinion said. I think some of you know. I went to school down in the AU Center. One of my dear friends was in the band. She was out there at midnight. She was out there at 6 in the morning, and it's hot. So if you don't know and you have a child getting ready to go off to college and they've been offered a scholarship, I don't even care if it's an academic one. No, they're going to work and earn it. So get the details so that if you're not prepared to risk your child at that level, then you decline and figure out another way to help them to pay their tuition. I'm done.
Ooh, and that's why I told y'all I was in the middle. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate you. You don't have nowhere else to go hang out with the diva. I'll be here for you. I didn't know where my feelings lived with this story. And the reason why I didn't know is because it's always hard to tell anybody in any situation when it's a devastating situation is like that they had a role in this situation. And the thing is with any underlying condition or anything in life, you don't want a person to be frozen and not live their life, but you can perhaps live your life and maybe not be part of a strenuous sport, because I'm rolling with Wayne. When Wayne said, even if your team knows, you have to play another team at any given day. They're not going to go light on you when they want this touchdown. So I'm conflicted. And I don't know if it was a scholarship situation that he got in with the scholarship, a football scholarship, but maybe that's when the parents were said to say, you know what, we'll figure out another way to send you to school. But I think you should not do this football. And because you're never going to control the other team, no matter how much. And I'm not saying that that the coach and all of them was right in what they did. And they was dead wrong. And I do agree with Felicia and Savannah on this, though. They're going to pay because they got witnesses saying he was in distress. And the coach for sure knew his condition. So that right there, and they didn't have the proper equipment to try to save his life. So all of those are the perfect storm that they are going to pay. But I will say this to the parents out there that perhaps have an opportunity to make a decision and their child has this trait. I would say maybe skip that sport. But those are diva thoughts. And have them do something else. When we know better, we do better, right? If I know I can't swim, I shouldn't be jumping in the pool. If I got knee issues, the last thing I should be doing is running outside on a hard concrete because it's going to worsen my condition. So when we have information, we got to be smart and utilize that information and say, okay, you know what? How can we do something that's still going to make you happy, but not have you probably pretty much walk in the lion's den? My heart breaks for this family. 100%. Could the school have done better? I'm going to say yes. Could the coaches have done better? I'm going to say 2 yeses. How do they not have equipment to save the life, even if nobody on that team had a sickle cell trait, is deplorable. And I think that at all of these practices, because these schools are working with millions and millions of dollars, at all of these practices, a nurse should be in the near vicinity, and they should have a school doctor. Because you know what I always say, you know, a lot of companies, universities, all this, they save a nickel to spend a dime. I mean, at best, what are you going to pay a nurse maybe at the school to work at the school and be sitting at these practices and games? Maybe you got to pay them $100,000 a year, then you give them a salary, a bone, whatever. Like, that's pennies in the bucket versus a lawsuit. Let's just pretend you got to pay the doctor $200,000 a year. It's pennies in the bucket versus a lawsuit. Because at least in hindsight, you can say the nurse was there, she jumped right into action. The doctor was there, they jumped right into action. And then you can move forward from there. Listen, guys, y'all know the routine.
But Diva, I never seen. I mean to jump into you. I haven't went yet, but I'm just saying I've never seen. No, you're good. You're good. You totally good. I've never seen a nurse or a doctor at a practice of a football game. Now I seen them at the football games, but as in going through practices and stuff like that, the only people I ever seen on a field were just coaches. Now, I'm not saying they can't change the rules or the law or whatsoever, but I've never seen a doctor or a nurse on a field when these kids out there doing practice. And with Black Wayne said, and you know, everybody want to push their child to be in the NFL, the NBA, NHL, all those type of sports. But if my child had sickle cell, I just don't think I would put my child, especially into football. Because football, you can get hit the wrong type of way and you're paralyzed. So that's with any sports, but mostly football. And these people, they don't come out there just to hit you gently. They knock you down. I mean, some of them get knocked the breath out. Some of them get head concussions. It's so much strength and so much things that goes on with football. My grandson played football. My son played football. And I listen to a lot of things what Felicia tells me, and I go by those rules because it takes more than my eyesight to see everything that's going on. I'm only seeing it from, his eyesight. So when I listen to Felicia, when she be telling me stuff about her kids and her sons, and I appreciate you so much for that, Felicia. But what I'm saying is, if that doctor gave him the okay, because you can't play these sports unless that doctor tell you that you can do it. You have to get a physical. And if he passed that physical, maybe these people didn't think that overexertion was going to get him, just going to put him out. Because when these kids out there practicing.
Katrina, I want to stop you for a minute. As part of the story, they said that in 2010, there was a rule that they had to look for that trait. Okay. And if someone had that trait, they said they had to notify the coach, and they gave certain rules on how you deal with this particular teammate that has such trait. So they knew he had the trait. They knew the rules. So that's not part of this conversation.
But I'm saying, even if they knew he had this trait, they know this. They know this. But what person on that field, as Wayne said, what about the other team? The other team don't know that he has that sickle cell trait. And if he's out there playing, he still can get hit the wrong type of way. Because that coach knows that he has this. We know the coach knows that he has this. But the other team doesn't know that he has this. And if he put him out there on that field and he get hit a certain type of way, that's still another cause of him being injured or unalive. Because this coach know, but the other people don't know, though. But I get what you're saying as well. But I'm just saying, look at it this way. They don't know what's going on with him. The other team doesn't know what's going on with him. And if the coach put him out there on that field and they don't have no idea what his health condition is, because they thinking that everybody on the field is, is cleared to play, and he get injured that way. But maybe I'm just wrong. I'm just saying.
No,
But that's
you're not.
all I got, Diva.
You're not saying anything different than what we said, right? That the other team is not going to know. Go ahead, Felicia.
You know what? I think Katrina made an excellent point, and I'm gonna land the plane here. Not only does the other team coach, medical team not know, the other school may not have the equipment in the event something happens to save his life.
Yeah, Wayne said that, right?
No, but I think the part is,
I'm talking.
Hold on one second. Wayne said the other problem was that the other team is not going to know.
Okay, so I didn't get clarity. I'm saying that they may not have the equipment needed in the event he goes into crisis to save his life. I don't think these parents thought this through. Because if I got it right, you said that this young man fell out and passed on the very first day. He's gone.
He's
gone.
It was the first practice.
First practice,
and
first
2
day.
days later he was gone. Yeah.
And he's gone. It sounds like that this is such a tentative situation. That if he had gone to another school, he's playing on another field, and he's working all of his muscles, and his heart rate is up, and his organs are shutting down. What is to say that this other school is going to have whatever this equipment is that's needed to save his life? I don't remember. You mentioned it in the story. And I agreed with Savannah that if the parent says, no, we want every school to have this available in the event that a person who's playing has this situation happen, that they can get the treatment they need immediately. Because it sounds like all of the organs shut down and that he was like brain dead for 2 days. And then they took away the life support system. So yeah, I'm learning something here tonight, especially for my scholars. They have something like that. They don't need to be playing anything that's going to cause them any kind of strenuous interaction or cause you to be highly stressed or anxious when you're playing the game. They're better off maybe becoming a chess champion or an artist or something like that. I'm done.
In my opinion, did you want to add something?
I think everybody's getting it mixed up, okay? This boy was at practice and he made him do 100 burpees. That is over extreme, okay? That's worse than any gameplay you could play. I can go out there and play 5 games and I won't get the same exertion I'm getting from 100 burpees. That boy busters was extreme. That's hard for a normal person to do. But you talking about somebody who's been diagnosed with sickle cell trait that's not supposed to be doing anything like that, and then you on the first day he's supposed to be sitting there out, and they still making him do it. It's something wrong. When we stop following the rules, we lose kids. We can't say that it's okay for this coach to not about follow the rules. The rules said on the first day he wasn't supposed to do anything.
That's
If
what
it keeps
I don't think
happening
he should
like
sign
that,
up for
that's what's
football.
going to happen.
He should sign up for football because football is a strenuous sport. And I see how these coaches have these kids doing this type of thing. They're not going to go easy on these kids because they know the
That's
other
any
team ain't going
sport,
to.
Katrina, though. That's any sport, that's any kid. It doesn't have to be somebody with sickle.
I'm just saying
A
in
healthy kid
general.
can go out there and lose their life on the sports, okay?
I see
It's not
kids go
just
out there in the heat, and I see kids that go out there and they don't have no problem. They can be out there in the heat and they can have a heat stroke.
exactly. But this is what we're talking about. We're talking about it was a rule in place that a person with sickle cell trait is not supposed to do anything strenuous on the first day.
Well, he don't need to be on the
And on
football
the
team.
first day, because the freshman line messed up, they made this boy do 100 burpees. When they saw him struggling, they didn't stop. They didn't administer no help to him.
Well, I personally don't think he should have got signed up for football.
Well,
I just don't.
that's not our problem. Our problem is to listen to the story and respond to what we hear.
I mean, I know that's not our problem, but what I'm saying is I don't think he should have signed up for football, especially if he can't
Okay,
do no strenuous
okay,
exercise.
so you know what? I'm gonna reel it in. I'm gonna reel it in. Savannah, did you want to say something before I pull it in?
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to, I think, the story was this hazing? I don't think this was hazing. It was there neglect. Yes, absolutely. There was neglect on the school, the coaching staff, but there has to be accountability. This young man had this trait and should not have been, if he knew he had it, he should have been sitting out. Then he also had some accountability as well as the family. The story was this hazing? This wasn't hazing. This was just neglect on almost every person that has ties to this story. So I think that's where we're losing the conversation. This wasn't hazing. In my opinion, this wasn't hazing. This was neglect.
I think the parents are getting hazing because the what do you call it? The freshman team messed up in practice, and as a result of their mess up, they had to do the extra strenuous work, and that's where they're getting the hazing from, saying that, because that is a common practice. Okay, I've seen it in football too. They like, okay, if y'all don't get these next shots, everybody's doing 10 more laps. If y'all don't do this, everybody's going to give me 5 or 15 or 30 push-ups. So this is not an uncommon practice that happens. It happens in sports. But I think the real issue for me here is that this was not an unknown to them. It was, I know Diva is a special player that has a sickle cell trait. And I was given the directive that Diva has to start out slow. But in addition to them not following that directive, there's witnesses that said they saw him in distress. He was falling behind when they gave this extra activity. They never told him to stop, and then he fell out. So if I get past, because this young man played football in high school, and he survived and he did well, right? So I think to the parents, they're thinking, oh, he did football in high school. Now we know he has this trait. He'll be fine because he did it in high school. And on top of that, he'll be fine because, the NCAA made a rule that you have to test for this trait, and all his coaches know how he needs to be handled in practice, so forth and so on. So again, I roll back to those individuals on the panel who said that the school is going to be found liable because of the simple fact that they had all the information and then they didn't utilize it. And on top of them not utilizing it, when they saw he was in distress, they ignored it. And then on top of that, they didn't even have the life-saving equipment to save him. I think that is where their major problem is going to fall into. In terms of them not seeing a doctor, a nurse, or whoever on the court, I never said that they were on courts or whatever. I'm saying that schools should make it a necessity and work it into their budget, because at least you could say, I tried to save somebody. Versus the amount of, this is not the first school, and probably, unfortunately, come on now, Lisa, unfortunately, it will not be the last, because everybody's into saving up money up front rather than spending money up front and saving themselves on the back end. So in terms of, the parents, it's always a tough decision, because in a lot of communities, sports seems like to be the ticket from one world to another. And a lot of parents, darn near from birth, they push heavily the sports on the children over the academics. I'm not here to judge one parent over another, but they will spend thousands and thousands, and this is not everybody, of dollars on the kid with the sports, and then the kid can't hardly read or write. But they know how to throw a football, get a basketball on the hoop, and all of that. All I'm saying is there needs to be a balance in life, a balance of the academics, a balance of the sports, because even the colleges, they want a well-rounded person. My condolences goes out to this family, because at the end of the day, an 18-year-old, not that far into the first year of college, and they're burying their son. And I get it. If their fight is more about, you know, trying to save a future student, then I'm with them. Listen, everybody, thanks for being here. If y'all didn't hit that like button on the way in, hit the like button on the way out. Good night and goodbye, everybody.